Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for joining myself, Alexandra Schleuderer, CEHV's cantorial soloist, and our entire CEHV community this evening, virtually. Please join in turning to page 127 in our Siddur. If you do not have a physical copy, please find a virtual PDF on the version of our virtual tab of our website using a split screen or additional device. You are welcomed to follow along in prayer this evening. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. Page 129, with text from the Song of Songs. Please join me in entering our Sabbath bride. It must have been at least 100 years. I must have cried an ocean of tears. We wandered through the coldest, darkest night. You were waiting for me there, a spark of light. Forever is a long, 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 long time. My beloved, I am yours, and you are mine. Todili va'ani lo ha'roeh v'shoshanim. Oh, todili. Never seen the colors quite so bright. Never held another quite so tight. Never felt my heart could fly away. I can't believe I get to be with you every single day. Forever is a long, 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 long time. My beloved, I am yours, and you are mine. Todili va'ani lo ha'roeh v'shoshanim. page 138. It is our tradition to sing verses 1 to 5 and 9, Lecha Dodi. And you may notice on verse 9, we face the entrance of the sanctuary, and it is our tradition to bow left and to bow right, making ourselves smaller, inviting anyone who may need a little encouragement to enter tonight.
B'nei Shabbat nikabla lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabla lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabla lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabla Shamor v'sachur b'dibor echad Kishmiyanu el hamyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shemo tiferet v'letila Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabla Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabla Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha Ki hi mikor ha'beracha Merosh mikedem nesucha Sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabla Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabla Ki toruri Ki va'orech Uri shir daberi Kivod Adonai alayich nigla Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabla Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabla Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala Gam b'samcha uv'tzola Toch emunei am segula Boi chala Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabla Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabla
During the COVID-19 pandemic, it has been our tradition to honor essential workers, angels in our midst who give their time, spirit. Nurses Marie Delaparte, Christina Dubois, Teresa Eggers, Teresa Esposito, Lindsay Miller, Jay Montier, Cindy Pomerantz, Joni Sivago, Lucinda Siegel, Christina Snell, Amy Staley, Ashley Wallace, Ben Wilder, Alisa Williams. Our doctors, Linda Brandon, Amy Kiagula, Joe Cohen, Shani David, Elliot Dresnick, Lee Gerson Friedman, Nicholas Friedman, Stephen Grossman, Elan Haley, Jan Hoyt, Roger Husted, Steve Kaplan, Martin Krakauer, Howard Leifer, Liz Levine, Aaron Daniel Levitt, L. Levitt, Noah Alexander Levitt, Richard Levy, Matthew Lorty, Handa Mittenberg, Wendy Parrish, Stephen Schwartz, Jonathan Sumber, Andrew Nianowski, These healthcare workers, Yisrael Aga, Dara Clausen, Bar Levi Romer, Catherine Monsky, Joseph Schwendeman, Amy Skorka, Marine Terranova, Jaron Widham. These first responders are firefighters and law enforcement professionals Ryan Coletti, Mark Donchek, Steve Fleischer, Don Hughes, Karen Leader, Abe Markovitz, Anthony Schleuderer, Russell Seymour, Kahana Skolnick. These education professionals, Sandy Albelli, Cindy Binney, Kara Levine Brenner, Carolyn Cernitsky, Lauren DePola, Molly Levine Hunt, Jim Hunt, Tammy Logan, Joanne Miller, Tracy Pollock, Cameron Robb, Lauren Rose, Erin Swan, Sue Worthman, Karen Zrick, Brett Zuckerman, social workers and mental health professionals Andrew Binney, Charlie DeGeorge, Anastasia Duvalionetti, Jenna Lee Fish, Dara Heinlein, Deb Jones, Stephen Kahn, Lauren Petties, Julie Stein-Mikowski, Ty Markle, Sherry Tessler, grocery staff workers Jill Smith, Mike Becker, Matthew Wilder, technicians, mechanics, maintenance, and transportation professionals Mike Brewer, Brian Lestrange, and Danny Miller. We direct our attention to page 142 for Shalom Alechem as we honor these angels in our midst.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boechem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malchei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzidchem L'Shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malchei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Page 145. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. Yitkada v'yitkadash,
שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה, בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעלמי המaya, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר, ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקדושה ברך הוא. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן.
Please move to page 145 as we face Jerusalem and call in one another to formal worship. One 146. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Ma Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro mariv aravim mariv aravim bechokma poteach sheharim uvitvuna mishana etim umachalif et hazmanim umsader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtono lai 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 borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or umavir yom umevi layla umavdil ben yom uven layla Adonai tzvaot shemo lai 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 lai
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'ariv ha'aravim. Amen.
149. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back? My sister, my brother, my sibling, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back? My brother, my sister, my sibling, or cross over? (151). Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives its form?
Avad olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha avta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadita, Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu, uvkumeinu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha le'olam v'ad, ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam ve'layla, negei yomam ve'layla, ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu li'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto
Page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one source in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered at Sinai. We bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our source of creation, keeping alive in the dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing along the shores of the sea. Page 158.
Lie, 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 Bahilim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedor bakodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei ayam livnei Moshe Miriam, ze'elianu v'hamru, ze'elianu v'hamru. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Lai, 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 lai,
Page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ushmor tzidkenu uvoenu l'chaim u'shalom
Page 162. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. 165. The source has placed abilities and challenges in our heart without regard to gender. Each of us has the duty, whether man or woman or otherwise, to realize those gifts that the source has given. Please join on page 164 as we face Jerusalem in preparation to pray the Amidah. Amidah will continue in a whispered prayer, Belachash, through page 180.
Tehillatech עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
We have come to the opportunity in our service to open our hearts to those in need of healing within our community and beyond. Please join me on page 371. On this Shabbat, we extend our prayers of healing to Yisrael Aga, David Anderson, Amanda Batista, Susan Bosch, Susan Becker, Jenny Bryant, Tom Burrows, Audrey Cohen, Barbara Cohen, Robert Cohen, Robert Cook, Adele Corvin, Tyler Corvin, Louis Costello, Bob Davis, John Gautier, Shayna Ginsberg, Joy Gross, Ron Hall, Anna Hernandez, Darren Jacobs, Judy Jacobs, Seth Kerr, Susan Klamberg, Andrea Klein, Mary Jane Klein, Lou Klein, Lena Ogram, Lee Levine Olea, Paula Markovitz, Reverend Michelle Meach, Joe Michaels, Moshe Yosef, Howard Pallett, Stephanie Payusko, Carla Friedman, Ellie Eidelwitz, Tony Rosenstein, Robin Stone, Ellen Vogelov, George Wells, Celeste, Jaron, Aaron, Jacob and Zachary Whittam, Ben Wilder, Phyllis Wolfield, Gretchen Zimmerman, continued healing for Todd Albelli, Tommy Anderson, Bonnie Mantro, Jen Bennett, Joe Callie, Michael Corvin, Steve Fine, Cheryl Fitzsimmons, Barbara Gallagher, Francine Glasser, Mark Greenberg, Marcia Hamburg, Valerie Henderson, George Jones, Danny Joseph, Anita Cantor, Heather Kite, Jill Levy Corley, Charles Lipman, Naomi Lurie, David Mallon, Joan Moore, Ann Murkoff, Catherine Nicholson, Nivea Newsy, Orly Batsvia Vichaya, Steve Perlmutter, Antoinette Phelan, Lillian Rich Schuster, Dave Rosenthal, Evelyn Rosenthal, Kyle Rothke, Barbara Salberg, Henry Sanderson, Shirley Schneider, Deborah Sears, Phil Searles, Sloan Shortley, Michelle Simon, Charles Slutsky, Elaine Trott, Mark Trott, Sandy Weiner, Karen Wilder, Luca Williams, and the Livingston House residents and staff. Sheberach avotenu mikol habercha limo
us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberoch imotenu mikor havrecha li'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So, our portion this week, Chukat, has a lot going on. Navigating through the desert, nothing new there, but what about the serpents? The death of beloved leadership, water shortages, intense conflict with others along our journey, and amongst all of that, we find the Song of the Well. While on their way to the Promised Land, they walk along a Moabite border and arrive upon a well. In Numbers chapter 21, verses 17 through 18, we hear Israel sing this song. Spring up a well, sing to it, the well which the chieftains dug, which the nobles of the people started, with maces and their own staves. What are we to understand from this song, from this poetry? Song or shirah utilize the white space in between words to act as a marker in a sea of text in our Torah and in our Chumash. These shirah often mark significant moments or turning points in our journey. I am reminded of our last song that we have studied, the Song of the Sea, or Micha Mocha, in chapter 15, verses 1 through 19 of Exodus. Similar in function to our song at the well, but much larger in scale. Feel free to peek at your Chumash whenever you get the chance, but you may recall that visually, the Song at the Sea is a monumental moment in our Torah. The way it is laid out on the page displays its dramatic significance. The Song at the Sea is sung with reverence to the source who delivered the Hebrews from slavery in drowning the Egyptian army. Okay, but what about this portion's song? This two-line song sung at the well that speaks more of human accomplishment and triumph, unlike our last song that extrapolated on the Creator's holiness. In order to understand this song, we must learn what brought us here in the portion. It opens with instructions on laws of purification following a person's contact with a dead body, which foreshadows the loss to come, future in this parshat. The people then arrive in the wilderness, the Midbar of Zin. It is here that it seems as if all in one breath, Miriam dies, and the people are left without water. although it is not chanted in one breath, but in 2 lines, there is no description of mourning for our matriarch Miriam, unlike that of her brother later in this portion, in chapter 20, verse 1. Miriam died there and was buried there. Then the following verse 2 reads, "The community was without water, and they joined against Moses and Aaron." She is no longer, and the people are without water. They are without that which is necessary for survival. In chapter 20, verse 8, the Eternal then tells Moses and Aaron to take the rod and assemble the community, and before their very eyes, order the rock to yield its water. Instead of pulling water from the rock in the manner that the source commanded, using their voice, similar to that of Miriam and Miriam's practice. Moses instead says to the Israelites in verses 10 through 11, "Listen, you rebels, shall we get water for you out of this rock?" And Moses raises his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod, producing water. All right. You may see a problem on the horizon. Moses did not follow the source's very particular instructions. And after learning about every single detail of building the tabernacle, it is easy to see how exact our Creator is. But Moses and Aaron not only failed to follow instructions, this is not an IKEA cabinet. They failed to trust the source enough to affirm the Divine One's holiness in order for the Israelites to bear witness. For this, the source of all creation tells Moses and Aaron they will not enter the land of Israel. Progressing on their journey, after being denied passage by King Edom, the children of Israel leave the city of Kadesh for Mount Hor. It is here the source commands Aaron to be stripped of his priestly vestments, and they are passed to his son, Eleazar. It is here where Aaron dies. After Moses and Eleazar come down from the mountain, the community mourn for 30 days. It is both painful to notice and difficult to miss that the death of our matriarch, Miriam, passes with no tradition, ceremony, or recognition in the Torah, whereas the death of her brother here in chapter 20, verse 29, is met with the entire community bewailing Aaron's death. So they continue through the wilderness, and their complaints also continue, to which the source sets poisonous serpents upon the people. Just as the serpent did in the Garden of Eden, the people had spoken against the Eternal, and this was their punishment. Many children of Israel died. After they plead with Moses, the Eternal instructs Moses to construct a seraph figure, a snake figure to mount on a stand. Anyone who is bitten can look at the copper serpent to recover. Okay, so now continuing through the wilderness with significantly less complaining, but after great loss of leadership and community, the source tells Moses to gather the people that I may give them water. It is here, Az Yashir Yisrael, thus saying Israel, spring up a well, sing to it, the well which chieftains dug. The noble of the people started with maces and their own staffs. There wasn't a song for this, I just thought I would make one up. While analyzing the general subject of the text from this song, it is not necessarily what I would identify as holy. Like our last song at the sea that praised the mighty and glorious Creator, Micha Mocha. No, here our song mentions much more human subjects, chieftains and the nobles of the people, with their own staffs. Maybe an inspiration from Moses' staff. This focus on the human tools and accomplishment rather than the divine is a shift that can be seen within Numbers as the people of Israel begin to mature as a nation. Although we lose valuable leaders, the next generation of our people come to power. We are no longer slaves in Israel. This song reflects that. The subject of the song is important and revealing in itself. However, I question who is the singer of this song. One might say that it's obvious, but previous evidence reveals otherwise. Again, visiting our Song of the Sea. While we were at the edge of the Sea of Reeds and bearing witness to this song, whose voice are we hearing? Let's look to the text. Exodus 15:1. The Torah leads us into the song at the sea with Az Yashir Moshe, thus saying Moses, then Uvnei Yisrael. Az Yashir Moshe, Uvnei Yisrael, thus saying Moses and Israel. Moses leads, the people follow. In this week's portion, Numbers 21:17, the Torah leads us into the Song of the Well, saying, Az Yashir Yisrael, thus saying Israel. Moses was there. Why didn't he lead us in this time? This is so significant. As Jews, it is safe to say you have all sang together in a group at one time or another. Imagine the feeling of lifting your voice after or along with your leader. Now, imagine the feeling of entering in song together, many voices joining as one. If you have ever been in a choir or Zemmer rehearsal, you will know to do so takes coordination, practice, maturation, not only of the individuals, but more importantly, of the group. This milestone, Israel's ability to sing as one with no leader identified, is a true shift in the narrative. As the portion prepares to come to a close, the people gather strength to defeat Sihon, the king of the Canaanite Amorites, one of the Torah's most significant stories. This leaves the children of Israel poised to move into the Holy Land. This week, on Thursday, our president passed legislation to recognize Juneteenth as a federal holiday. Juneteenth, June 19th, known by other names as Jubilee Day, Black Independence Day, and Emancipation Day. Juneteenth originated in Galveston, Texas on June 19th, 1866. President Lincoln had freed the slaves of the state 2 years earlier in the Emancipation Proclamation of 1862. But much of the enforcement of Lincoln's proclamation was left up to the Union soldiers. Texas, at this time, was the most remote of the slave territories and was very invested in slavery, and the low number of Union soldiers made Lincoln's emancipation completely ineffective. Some farmers had moved to Texas from up north oftentimes bringing enslaved individuals with them, driving up the enslaved population of the state. Monday, June 19th, 1865, Union Major General Gordon Granger arrived on the island of Galveston, Texas. Granger and his soldiers traveled throughout the town, sharing General Order Number 3. The people of Texas are informed that, in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves. And the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. The freedmen are advised to remain quietly at their present homes and work for wages. They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts, and they will not be supported in idleness, either there or elsewhere. It is vital to note slavery remained legal in neighboring states at this time, in Kentucky and Delaware, up to December 18, 1865, when ratification of the 13th Amendment was announced. As some in our country celebrate, and others take the day to educate themselves or engage in activism, it is valuable to know that just as the Emancipation Proclamation and orders of the like were ineffective for so long, the freeing of 250,000 enslaved people in Texas did not happen overnight. Slave owners decided how to share the news, or waited for government personnel to enforce the old order, often waiting after a harvest. Many newly freed individuals who rose up with the news met gruesome fate as slave owners tried to maintain power. Hope springs from the fight, passion, and dedication of newly freed Black individuals who rally around June 19th. And 1 year later, on June 19th, 1866, they shift the day from one of ignored military orders to one of unification, strength, and recognition for all Black Americans. Juneteenth. Where we find ourselves at the end of this week's portion, aching for freedom on the edge of the promised land, yet held out of reach after 40 years wandering in the desert, is a painful reality that the ancestors of many Black people in our country have faced, and for whose effects continue. When we reflect on the slow efficacy of the Emancipation Proclamation and General Order Number 3 that was read in Galveston, we learn that without action, words can be hollow, and the possibilities of our growth stunted. We cannot only say, we must do. Something that Judaism always reminds us, it is not enough to talk the talk, we must walk the walk. As allies, we must choose every day to be committed to justice, honesty and self-reflection, and to be committed to listen even more carefully than we would to that of our own people's history. This could make all of the difference in what we will hear. Please join me on page 587 as we pray the Elenu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והי אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
We have come to the time in our service for our weekly announcements. Tomorrow morning Minyan begins at 10 a.m. Please join us. No classes scheduled next week. Sisterhood's annual Rosh Hashanah honey sale is here. Send the sweetness of New Year greetings to your family and friends. Information and order forms were mailed, or see the email for the link to order online. Please contact Bonnie Lober or the main office for more information. Sisterhood June meeting will be via Zoom this Thursday night, June 24th at 7 p.m., featuring guest speaker Sarah Litvin, director of the Reher Center for Immigration, Culture, and History in Kingston. Located downtown in the Rondout section of Kingston, the center has become a focal point in the telling of the story of Kingston's immigrant communities. So come and hear as Sarah fills us in on the center's history and activities. Registration is open for our Zimmit Religious School for the 2021-2022 school year. CHV is also excited to welcome our new Religious School Director, Jonathan Billing. Register online or contact the main office. Beginning in July and continuing throughout August 27th, we will be gathering for outdoor services each Friday at 6 p.m. Join us for worship in Rhinebeck, Kingston, Town of Ulster, and Clinton Corners. Location and details are in our weekly emails and on our website, activity calendars. Services will also continue to be live streamed. While our building remains closed, we are available by phone and email, so please reach out. Please join me on page 593. The light of life is a finite flame, like the Shabbat candles. Life is kindled, it burns, it glows, it is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades. Its substance is consumed and it is no more. In light we see. In light we are seen. The flames dance and our lives are full, but as night follows day, the candle of our life burns down and gutters. There isn't an end to the flames. We see no more. We are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory, slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives, we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in an eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and of life. as we prepare to say the mourner's Kaddish, our hearts are with all of the families who are observing their Shana for their loved ones. Our hearts are with the Durkin Lepak family on the loss of Karen Durkin. Our hearts are with Jane Davis, Ellen Peruso, Jackie and Dave Lawson and family, Barry and Alice Cohen and family. And all others in our community who are in their shloshim, in their year of mourning. So too do we weave in the memory of the loved ones of our community who have died in this season, in years past. Ruth Davis, Seth Duberstein, remembered by Lucy Goldfarb, Greta Field, Clara Frischberg, remembered by Estelle Nadler, Lillian Jade, Sonia Finkelstein Hanover, Morris Kalish, remembered by Deborah Kalish, Marjorie Roth, remembered by Sharon Zappel, Maurice Weinstein, Pauline Weisberger, Follette Wolf, remembered by Felice Gasul, Sheldon Zimbler, remembered by Suzanne Zimbler. May their memories be for a blessing, zichronam levracha. Along with those who are mourning, it is our tradition to join voices as we stand with those who have lost. Page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam ul'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yit hadar, v'yit ale, v'yit halal, shemei d'kudusha, berich hu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama, rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol b'nei Adam. V'imru. Amen. Please join in closing our service this evening on page 652. Ani ve'ata. You and I will change the world. You and I, and then all will join us. Though it's been said before, it doesn't matter. You and I will change the world. You and I will start from the beginning. It may be difficult, but it's nothing. It's not so terrible. Ani ve'ata nishanet ha'olam. Ani ve'ata az yavo kvar kulam. Amru et kodem lefanai ze lo mishaneh. Ani ve'ata nishanet ha'olam. Ani ve'ata ninaseh mitachat la. Yeh lenu ra ein
דבר זה לא נורא, אמרו את זה קודם לפניי, למון נשנה, אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. לי 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to the source for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom.